Greetings everyone. Let us start with a Shanti mantra from the Bhagavata Mahapuranam. Om Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Muratastunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sangha Padakramopanishadir Gayantayam Samagaha ध्यानावस्थित तद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुस्सुरासुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। Our loving salutations to that effulgent being whom Brahma and other gods praise with divine hymns. This Shanti mantra is on page 104 of Universal Prayers, top of page 104, and translation on page 105. Our loving salutations to the effulgent being whom Brahma and other gods praise with divine hymns, whom the singers of the Sama glorify by the Vedas and their auxiliaries, repeating the words in a particular order along with the Upanishads, whom the yogins realize through deep meditation with their minds wholly absorbed in Him, and whose extent neither the gods nor the demons can fathom. Om peace. May there be peace and joy in our hearts. May there be peace and harmony amongst all beings, and may there be peace everywhere in nature. Let us continue our study of chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita. Last time we were studying shloka number 35 in chapter 4. There, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, once a person achieves self-knowledge, then there is no way that he or she can go back into the domain of ignorance. It is like this. Supposing there is a rope and it is semi-darkness. If it is totally dark, then nothing will be seen. The rope also cannot be seen. If it is very bright, then rope can be seen as rope. It is in between. And a person sees that rope and mistakes it to be a snake. Then the perceived snake creates the same kind of fear that a real snake would create in that person's mind. Because that for that person at that time it's only a snake. So that person becomes afraid and terrified. At that time somebody who has a light, flashlight, comes and tells the person, look at it carefully. It is not a snake, it is a rope. That person illumines, gives illumination, so that the person who saw this snake can really see what it is. As he sees it is a rope. So that ignorance is removed. Once ignorance is removed, then even if he sees the rope, he will not mistake it for a snake. He knows it is a rope. Once that mistake is cleared, then that person again will not make the same mistake. If he says the same rope in the same place, oh, this is only a rope, it is not a snake. I thought it was a snake. That awareness will come. Once that awareness comes, there is no going back to ignorance again. Who is the person who brought the flashlight? Is the Guru. A teacher comes when a person in ignorance is in deep agony, suffering from ignorance, prays for enlightenment, prays for relief, sincere prayer, then at the right time, God Himself has come in the form of a Guru and shows him the light. Look here, why are you suffering? You are not the body, you are not the mind, you are the Atman. Tattvamasi, the Guru says that thou art. That's the teaching. You are thinking you are the body, mind, which is the cause of all suffering. All suffering is only because of that ignorance that I am the body and the mind. If I know I am Brahman, pure consciousness, absolute, then where is suffering? Suffering will be removed once for all. Then there is no more suffering. End of suffering permanently. So we have to pray intensely for illumination, for knowledge, self-knowledge. Once that self-knowledge is gained by the grace of the Guru, by the grace of God, there is no going back to the domain of ignorance. So that is the gist of this verse number 35. So this is verse number 35. Yad jnatva na punar moham evam yasyasi pandava yena bhutanya sheshena drakshasi atman yatho mahi. Yat jnatva, by knowing that, by gaining that knowledge, by knowing that reality, punaha evam moham yasyasi. You will not go back into moha, ignorance again, O Arjuna. Yena, by which knowledge? Asheshena bhutani, all the beings, whatever is there in this creation, good, bad, and animals, plants, people, and planets and stars and whatever is there, all these yena bhutani asheshena, all the beings, atmani drakshyasi yatha mayi drakshyasi. You will see all of them in you and in me. One sees the whole creation in oneself. So this then punaha moham na yasyasi, you will not go back to moha, ignorance again. This not going back to ignorance, once knowledge is gained, is mentioned in the 15th chapter also. In chapter 15, shloka number 6. If you are interested, you can make a note, otherwise you can just listen. Shloka number 6 in chapter 15. There, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, Na tad bhasayate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha yad gatva nanivartante taddama paramam mama. Natad bhasayate surya. Tat means Brahman. Tat Brahmana Surya na bhasayate. Sun cannot illumine Brahman. It's Brahman that gives the power to sun to illumine other beings. It is beyond everything. Sun, moon, stars, fire, everything gets their power to do their functions only with the power of God. The power of God that manifests in all the beings. In a small ant that crawls on the ground does so because of the power of God in it. Sun shines because of the power of God in it. It's the all power of God only. We also live our lives, eat, speak, talk, walk, do things, sometimes good things, bad things. We all do all of that. What's the power that enables us to do all these things? We appear to function autonomously on our own power. There's God's power in us. Natad bhasate surya na shashanko na pavakaha. Shashanka means moon. Moon cannot illumine Brahman. Brahman gives the power to moon to illumine, to reflect sun's light. Na pavakaha, fire cannot burn. Fire gets its power to burn by the power of God. Yadgatva, by reaching which, nanivartante, they will not come back. Tadhama Paramam Dhama Mama, that supreme abode, Paramam Dhama means supreme abode is mine, going to which once people will not come back again. So one-way traffic. Going to God is one-way traffic. Once you reach God, you will not come back into the domain of ignorance. That's not the case in the worldly accomplishment. Supposing you accomplish great success in this life, you enjoy, and then along with enjoyment, suffering also will come in this life. It's inevitable. So what happens? Again you will have to be born again. That's not the end of the journey. If you enjoy success and fame and property and pleasures and everything in this life, that's not the end. Again, desires will necessitate another life. Desires will not be quenched by enjoyment. That you know from Yayati story. No matter how much we enjoy, desire will not be quenched. To try to quench desire by fulfilling the desires is futile. As futile as it is to try to put off a fire by pouring ghee on it. So desires will not leave at the end of this life. Again another life, again more same thing. So this life after life will continue. There is no end to this one. But if you reach God, that's the end of the journey. God is our ultimate destination. God or Brahman. If Bhaktas call it God, Gyanis call it Brahman. Ultimate goal. Once you reach it, you merge in it and you become that, and there is no going back to ignorance. That's a nice idea in this verse number 36. Yajñātva na punarmoham yasyasi Pandava Arjuna. By knowing that, by gaining that self-knowledge, you will not go back to ignorance again. End of all suffering, all striving, all limitation, you become that. You realize we are that, but we realize, experience that we are that. That experience will come. So that's this verse. Now, what does this self-knowledge do? The glory of self-knowledge is explained in the next 2-3 verses. Why it is so much praised, extolled as the highest achievement in human life, knowledge of the self, Atmajnana. If you reach once, that is the highest goal you have reached. There is nothing more to be done after that. There is no other higher gain than self-knowledge or God, whichever way we want to put it. So that is extolled in verse number 36. Api chedasi papebhyah sarvebhyah papakrittamaha sarvam jnana plave naiva rujinam santarishyasi. This self-knowledge will free us from all previous sins, effects of all sins. Let us read the translation. Even if among all the sinners, you are the very worst sinner, still by this boat of self-knowledge, you will go beyond all of these things. You will cross the ocean of samsara. In the scriptures, it is said, teachers have also said, that this worldly life is like an ocean. Ocean is very vast. It's not possible to swim from one shore of the ocean to another shore of the ocean. Not possible. You need a boat or a ship. So, and we are stuck in this ocean of samsara. Samsara means worldly life. Worldly life means this present birth. Fortunately, being born as a human being is the greatest good fortune gift we have received. If you are born as animals and plants, suffering will be much more, limitation will be much more. Even as human beings, we are struggling in this life. So many problems come to human beings. A little bit of pleasure will come now and then also. So where is the end to this one? There is no end to this ocean of worldly life. So it's like an ocean. So we need a ship to cross. The other side is God or Brahman, this destination. That boat or ship that helps us to cross this huge ocean of worldly life, ignorance, is self-knowledge. Jnana plava. Plava means boat. Jnana means self-knowledge. Jnana plaveneva. By using this boat of self-knowledge, vrijanam santarishyasi. Vrijana means all sins you will cross over, all limitations. You will reach God, to reach Brahman, you become one with it, absolute, giving up all the individual limitations of all kinds. Just like a river merges into the ocean and becomes the ocean, infinite ocean, giving up its limited identity as a river. That's what happens to a seeker. A seeker, as long as he is a seeker, a human being, he has limitations. One personality, one body, limited mind, ignorance, suffering. Once that person reaches Brahman, all the limitations are given up for one all time to come, once and for all. And that person merges into the ocean of Satchidananda and becomes Satchidananda. There is no more going back into the limitation. Once the river reaches the ocean, it will not go back to the being a river again. It remains as the ocean. Then it says, in the first line, even if you are the worst among all the sinners, sarvebhyaha papebhyaha papakrittamaha api chedasi. Papa here means a person who does bad deeds. Papi, sinner. All kinds of mistake means all kinds of mistake. We make wrong choices in life and that causes suffering. That is sin. Sarvebhyaha papebhyaha, for among all the sinners, papakrittamaha, superlative. If you are the worst among all the sinners, api chedasi, even though if you are, all of those sarvam vrijinam, of all those sins, jnana plavenaiva santarishyasi, you will be able to cross that ocean of ignorance, ocean of sins by the boat of self-knowledge, jnana plavenaiva. So, there is a positive message in this sloka. A bit of water. Supposing somebody has done a lot of mistakes in this life or in past life, and suffering has come now. If you do bad deeds, suffering will come. Suffering has come. Now we realize that we made mistakes or suffering now. Then that person feels bad. What did I do? Now once we have done bad deeds, we cannot go back in time and correct them. We have to suffer the consequences. We are suffering the consequences. So we feel sad. What a sinner I am. How many bad deeds I have done. So much suffering has come. I am the worst person among the human. Like that kind of dejection feeling will come. Sri Krishna says, no need to worry. Even if you are the worst among all the sinners, if you strive and get self-knowledge, you will be freed from all sins for all time to come. This comes again in the 9th chapter. 9th chapter, there are 2 slokas. Sloka number 30, 31. If you like, you can make a note, otherwise you can just wait until you go to 9th chapter. Sloka number 30, 31. There Sri Krishna says almost same thing. Api chet sudharacharo bhajate mam ananya bhak sadhureva mantavyaha samyak vyavasito hi saha kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvachantyam nigacchati kaunteya pratijanihi Name bhaktah pranashyati. Very important line in the Gita for people who are suffering in this life, feeling bad that they have done sin, they are suffering because of the sins they did. For such people, this is a line, this is a sentence Sri Krishna says in 931, which gives a lot of hope. Very positive message of Vedanta. No one need be despondent because one has committed sins and is suffering now. No one need be despondent. Positive message of hope to everyone. So verse number 30-31, chapter 9. Apichet Sudarachara. Sudarachara means a person of bad conduct. Apichet, even if there is a person of bad conduct, Mam ananya bhak bhajate. If you constantly pray to God, constantly if you pray to God, even if you have done a lot of sins, if you are suffering because of our sins, Sa sadhuriva mantavyaha, such a person should be regarded as a sadhu because he has taken the right step in the right direction. Samyak vyavasitaha saha. Direction is direction towards God. Right step is taking step towards God. That means by constantly praying to God. Suffering is there, but we have to constantly repeat God's name, pray to God. Then what happens? Kshipram bhavati dharmatma 931. These two slokas are very important for people who are feeling dejected, sorrowful because of suffering. 931. Kshipram bhavati dharma. Kshipram means very quickly. Dharmatma bhavati. A person becomes a dharmatma, a great soul, because of constantly praying to God. What makes a person a great person is constant prayer to God, in spite of all the sins having been done. Kshipram bhavati dharmatma shasvat santim nigacchati. Achieves lasting peace, not temporary peace. Shasvat Shanti means lasting, permanent peace that person will achieve by constantly praying to God. Kaunteya pratijanihi. Oh Arjuna, I promise, I tell you, Sri Krishna says, Name bhaktah pranashyati. Remember these 4 words. Name bhaktah pranashyati. Sri Krishna's promise. Not an empty promise. Absolutely true. Name bhaktah pranashyati. End of 931. Me means mine. Bhagavan is saying, Me bhakta, mama bhakta, my devotee, na pranashyati, will never perish. What a beautiful, uplifting, positive message Sri Krishna is saying to those, most all people are suffering in worldly life. That 931, 930-31 are very important slokas. That is what he is saying in 436. We come back to 436, which you are studying. Even if you are the worst among the sinners, api chedise papyabhya sarvebhya papyabhya papakrittama api ched. Papakrittama means the worst sinner among all the sinners. Api ched, even though you may be sarvam rijanam, all sins, jnana plavena eva santarishyasi, you will cross all the sins by the boat of self-knowledge. So, in this sloka, in the next sloka also, Sri Krishna is praising the glory of self-knowledge. There is nothing higher than that. In comparison to self-knowledge, Atma-jnana, all other human accomplishments fade into nothing. No matter how much money a person have, how famous a person becomes, how much power he has, what is all those things? Sooner or later they will all vanish. Nothing is permanent. Old age comes, suffering comes, disease comes. All those things will go away. They will not be there at all. death will come, next life will come. Self-knowledge is the greatest thing in human life that human being can achieve. So the glory of self-knowledge is extraordinary, removes all the sins, is permanent relief. Now we go to sloka number 37. Same glory of self-knowledge. यथैदां च समिद्धोऽग्निः भस्मसात् कुरुते अर्जुन ज्ञानाग्निः सर्वकर्माणि भस्मसात् कुरुते तथा. As a well-lit fire reduces all fuel to ashes, in the same way, O Arjuna, the fire of self-knowledge reduces all karma to ashes. Sarva karmani bhasmasat kurate. Let us try to understand. Edha means fuel. In the fireplace we put logs of wood, that is fuel. Yatha samiddaha agni, well lit fire. You light the fire and then if you put fuel into it, it becomes a big fire. Such a well lit fire, samiddaha agni, yatha, just as a well lit fire, edhamsi, fuel, bhasmasat kurate, reduces to ashes. The fire is well lit, if you put any fuel into it, it will be burnt into ashes. The fuel will be burnt into ashes. Tatha, in the same way, jnana agnihi, the fire of self-knowledge, sarva karmani bhasmasat kurate, reduces to ashes all karma, sarva karmani. We have to understand that sarva karmani. How does self-knowledge burn all karma? That is to be understood. So, let us see. In the commentary, Shankaracharya says, Samarthyat, yena karmana shariram arabdam tat pravruttaphalattatvat upabhogeneva kshiyate. There are three kinds of karma that we all do. Karma done in the past, which has been stored and which has not begun to bear fruit yet. A lot of karma we have done not in one lifetime, many lifetimes we have been doing karma. And all those karma, good and bad, have left impressions. Those impressions are stored. They are there, they don't go away. The store of all the previous karma impressions is called sanchita karma. Sanchaya means accumulation, gathering. Sanchita means gathered, accumulated karma. Done over many lifetimes. It is there, waiting to be fructified. Is simply staying there. It has not begun to bear fruit. All karma have to bear fruit. Karma phala has to come. Karma phala, fruit of action, has not come, but karma impressions are there. The store of impressions of all past karma, some good, some bad, is called sanchita karma, accumulated karma. That is there. One. Now, some part of karma is bearing fruit in this life. Some part of karma that we did before has begun to bear fruit. That's what we are experiencing now. Good and bad we are experiencing in this life is all due to prarabdha karma. Prarabdha means that which has to begin. Prarabdha means to begin. Prarabdha means the karma which has begun to bear fruit in this life. This prarabdha karma. We are going through prarabdha right now. And as long as prarabdha lasts, this life will last. If prarabdha, that karma allocated by God, Ishvara, to be worked out in this life, that is completed, then life will end. So this life is driven by prarabdha karma. That second karma. Sanchita, accumulated, not begun to bear fruit yet. Prarabdha which has begun to bear fruit, past karma which is bearing fruit now. And karma we are doing now, which will bear fruit maybe in the future, and that is, and the future karma we are going to do, this agami karma. Agami means yet to come, future. So, three types of karma. Sanchita, accumulated, not begun to bear fruit, huge store. Prarabdha, which is begun to bear fruit, which is happening now. Agami, yet to come. Karma which is being done now, which will bear fruit in the future. Of these three kinds of karmas, Jnanagni will eliminate two kinds of karma. Sanchita will be deleted. They will not begin to bear fruit again. They have not begun, they will go away. When Jnanagni comes, self-knowledge comes, when I know that I am Brahman, this past karma will not, there is no more birth to experience Sanchita. That is it, it go away. And Agami karma will not bear fruit, because all the karma that is being done now, that will be done now, will be done with detachment and does not create any impressions, that will not act at all. No Agami karma, no Sanchita karma. What about Prarabdha that's happening now? There, the commentator says that Prarabdha karma will not go away, it will last as long as it lasts, this life will continue. When this life ends, Prarabdha means also has ended, that means. But the Jnani will not be affected by Prarabdha. Whom does the Prarabdha karma affect? Where does all karma phala is felt? Where is all karma done? Where is all karma phala done? Karma phala felt, that we have to understand. Two questions we have to understand are, where is the locus of karma? Where karma happens? All karma, good and bad. Where does it happen? And to whom that result will come? Who experiences the result of all our karma? The answer is, all karma is done at the body, mind, sense organ level only. All fruit of action is experienced, good and bad, will be experienced by the body, mind, sense organs. It does not, karma does not touch Atman, self. Karma phala does not touch Atman, the self. Self remains free from karma phala. Self means the Atman. I as the self, Atman, the divine presence within me is Atman. The divine presence within me is not affected by karma or karma phala. The divinity within me does not participate in action. Only body, mind, sense organs participate in action. The divinity within me, which truly I am, is not affected by karma, good or bad. It remains above the domain of karma phala, karma, fruit of karma. So, Prarabdha will affect whom? Only body, mind, sense organs. And Jnani knows he is not that one. I am not the body, I am not the mind. Body is going to suffering. I am not touched by that one. To a Jnani, body, mind are like garments that we studied in the second chapter. See, if you examine the life of great Jnanis and devotees, Bhaktas, they also went through a lot of physical suffering. And they also were subject to insults and embarrassment by other people. Many people did not like them. They gave them a lot of trouble. Body suffering came to all of those people. Old age came, suffering came. Sri Ramakrishna had cancer of the throat. Ramana Maharshi had cancer of the elbow. Swami Thiruvananda had severe diabetes, carbuncle. Swamiji himself had a lot of health problems, diabetes, all those things. So they were all great jnanis, bhaktas. So they were not free from body suffering. So that's prarabdha, we can say. So prarabdha has to be gone through. An ordinary person feels the effect of prarabdha because the ordinary person thinks he is the body. When my body becomes sick, I think I become sick. So I identify with the body. So suffering affects me. But if I am a jnani, then I'm not affected by body suffering. I look upon it as an object. To a jnani, body is an object. I am not the body. This body is there. I am the self. If I have that knowledge, then I will not be affected by what happens to the body. Body, prarabdha affects only the body. A jnani does not think he is the body. He thinks he is the Atman. Aham Brahmasmi. Jnani's position. So jnani will not be affected by prarabdha because prarabdha karma affects only the body. In the second chapter, sloka number 22. When we did second chapter, I emphasized this sloka. You may remember. Sloka number 22 in second chapter, Sri Krishna says, to a jnani, the body is like a garment. Just like I am wearing this garment now, if this garment becomes dirty, or if it is torn, old and torn, I won't become dirty and I don't become old and torn. Body, I will remain separate from the garment. All changes happen to the garment. I am not that. Whatever happens to the garment, I am not affected by that. When the body goes through all kinds of suffering, disease, that other people insult, mind will not be affected by it. I will not be affected by it. That is jnani's position. So prarabdha will accrue to the body, mind, but the jnani will not be affected by that one. So this fire of self-knowledge, jnana agni, burns all sins, except all karma, except prarabdha karma, which will accrue only to the body and it will not affect the jnani. Jnani remains unaffected. Jnani takes the position that I am not the body. Whatever happens to the body is not happening to me, it doesn't affect me. That position of a jnani, attitude of a jnani is explained nicely in one verse in Viveka Chudamani. Many of you study Viveka Chudamani, verse number 509. Those of you who did Viveka Chudamani Swami A, you may remember verse number 509 in Viveka Chudamani. How does a jnani look upon the suffering of a body? Ordinary person suffers when the body suffers. If body becomes sick, I become sick. I feel the pain. I feel the pain of the body. But a jnani remains free by whatever happens to the body. How does he do that when a jnani, he or she, explained in verse number 509 in Viveka Chudamani. So jnani says, this is the verse. Jale vapi sthale vapi luthato esha jadatmakaha naham vilipye tad dharmai ghata dharmai nabho yatha. Very nice verse. Esha jadatmakaha, this inert body is inert even now. It appears alive because of God's power, consciousness. Presence of God makes the body look alive and autonomous. Esha jadatmaka, this inert body, jaleva pilutatu, sthaleva pilutatu, may it fall in water. Jala means water, jalam. Sthala means ground. Let the body fall in water or on ground. Tad dharmaihi, by its, dharma means condition, status. By the condition of the body, aham navilipye, I am untouched. I am unaffected. Let the body suffer, let the body enjoy. Let one put garlands on, another kick this frame. Jnani's position, I am not affected by that one. Sukha dukkhe samay kritva, labha labho jaya jaya samay kritva. We studied that in second chapter, verse number 38. For a jnani, sukha dukkha, insult, praise, blame, sickness, good health, enjoyment, suffering, they are all same. Nothing affects that person, jnani. Tad dharmaihi, by the condition of the body, aham navilipye, I remain unaffected. He gives an example. Ghata dharmahi nabho yatha navilipyate. Ghata means a part, earthen part or any part. Dharma means condition or status of the part. Ghata dharma means the condition in which a part exists. By the condition of the part, property of the part, aham ghata nabha navilipyate. Nabha means space inside the part. Navilipyate. Nabha means sky or space. The space inside the pot, which appears to have the same limitations as the pot, but does not. That space inside the pot remains unaffected no matter what happens to the pot. Supposing the pot is painted green, does the space inside the pot become green? No, it remains colorless. It always remains colorless. So, the space inside the pot remains totally unaffected by whatever happens to the pot. In the same way, the Atman, self in this body, God residing in the body, Atman, remains unaffected by whatever happens to the body. Body will become well or ill, body may die or live, but space, Atman remains unaffected. No death, no birth, no old age, no sickness to Atman. I am that Atman. So I remain unaffected. That's what self-knowledge does. Self-knowledge frees from all, makes us free from all suffering for all time to come. We can't go back to the domain of ignorance, thinking I am the body. Once I know I am the Atman, then I will not make the mistake of thinking I am the body again. So that's the power of self-knowledge. Just as fire burns all fuel into ashes, in the same way, self-knowledge burns all ignorance into ashes, once and for all. Now we go to verse number 38. Again, praising the glory of self-knowledge. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitramika vidyate tatsvayam yoga samsiddha kalenatmani vindati. Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitramika vidyate tatsvayam yoga samsiddham kalenatmani vindati. Yoga samsiddha kalenatmani vindati. There is nothing that exists that has the power to purify as self-knowledge. Perfected in yoga, yoga samsiddha. In course of time, kalena, one wins it in one's own self. Atmani vintat vindati. That means self-knowledge. It means there are so many purifying agents that purify our personality. At the physical level, we have all kinds of soaps and everything. But how to purify the mind? Pilgrimage, doing charity without selfishness, chanting hymns, studying scriptures, holy company, repeating God, they all purify the mind. All purify the mind. But among all of them, the most effective purifying agent, which purifies the mind for all time to come, is self-knowledge. There is nothing comparable to self-knowledge when it comes to purifying the human personality. That's in the first line. Jnana means Atma Jnana in the first line. Sadrisha means equal. There is nothing equal to self-knowledge. Pavitram, that purifies a person. Everything. Sri Ramakrishna said In the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, I think it's page 138, in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna says, when a person repeats God's name, his body, mind, everything will become pure. Body also will become pure. But you have to repeat a lot of times. Once if I say Om Namah Shivaya, it has some effect but not visible effect. Holy Mother said, if you want to feel the effect of repetition of God's name, tangibly, every name will repeat. Even if you repeat God's name once, it will have a positive effect. But the effect is so small that we don't feel it. But if you want to feel, if you want to see a positive transformation in our life, then you have to repeat it a lot of times. She set a very high bar. Holy Mother said, if a person repeats 10,000 to 15,000 times a day, then he will feel the effect immediately. It is very difficult for many people to do 15,000, 10,000 japa, because sometimes not that much time. People have to take care of their families, go to work, etc. It's a high bar, but some people can do it. Some people can do that one. Swami Virajananda set the record for japa. At one time, when he was a young man, he had already joined the order, but he became sick. Swami Virajananda, he took Diksha, Mantra Diksha from Holy Mother, and then later he took Diksha, Sannyasa Diksha, final vows of monastic vows from Swamiji. So when he was a young man, he became sick, and Holy Mother told him to go back home to his parents and recoup and come back again. So he went back to his parents' home. Then he started doing intense japa in a closed room, almost continuously. He used to do japa. He could do 100,000, 120,000. And one time, the maximum japa I could do was 125,000 times japa in a day. For some time he did that one. Ordinary people cannot reach that number. So that is a purifying agent. Repetition of God's name purifies everything. Sri Ramakrishna said in the Gospel, if a person repeats God's name, his body, mind, everything will become pure. But as powerful as God's name is, self-knowledge is the most powerful cleaning agent. It removes ignorance for all time to come. Once it is accomplished, self-knowledge, Atma-jnana, no more ignorance at all, no more suffering of any kind at all. One becomes totally free, absolutely free from all suffering for all time to come. So that is what the first line says. There is nothing here as purifying as self-knowledge in this world. A person who gains self-knowledge by achieving perfection in yoga. Yoga Samsiddha means one achieves perfection in yoga. How to achieve perfection in yoga? Practicing some yoga until it bears fruit. It can be karma yoga or concentration, Raja yoga, or it even can be bhakti yoga also. Purifies the mind. Once a person practices some yoga intensely and reaches the goal, yoga samsiddha, such a person will gain self-knowledge in course of time. Kalina, in course of time, there may be a time element. It depends upon the prarabdha karma, I don't know what other factors, a little bit delay may be there. Kalina atmani vindati, he sees the self in oneself alone. He gains self-knowledge in his own self, he gains. Once that self-knowledge is gained, then there is no delay in liberation, in achieving emancipation, moksha. Once self-knowledge comes, immediately one person achieves liberation, is liberated from all suffering, becomes one with the divine. There is no delay there. That is explained in verse number 39. We'll do 39 and stop. Saddhavan labate jnanam tatparassamyatendriyaha jnanam labdva param shantim achirenadhigacchati. Saddhavan labate jnanam tatparassamyatendriyaha jnanam labdva param shantim achirenadhigacchati. Shraddhavan, a man of faith, man or woman of faith, who has mastered his senses and who is intent on it, wins knowledge, self-knowledge. Winning self-knowledge, that person attains supreme peace without any delay, immediately. So let us see. Shraddhavan. What is required? Shraddha. Requirements for self-knowledge is Shraddha. Shraddha means faith in the words of the scripture and in the words of the teachings of the teacher. Not blind belief, but informed conviction. Shraddha means informed conviction. How do I know that what the scriptures are saying is true? Because many people have followed the instructions given in the scriptures and have reached the goal. Have reached the goal of self-knowledge. So if I follow the instructions, I will also reach self-knowledge. That conviction must come. How does the conviction come? In the words of a teacher? An relevant teacher says, you are that, truth is this. He gives the instructions of self-knowledge to the student. But he may be saying it simply, how do I know that he is telling the truth? Because I watch his life. His life conforms to his teachings. Only such a person is a guru. Simply not words. I don't go by the words. Somebody may say the highest philosophy, but is he living according to that? Is he free from suffering? Does he have self-knowledge? When I see that one, then I know, yes, he has reached the goal. What he says must be true. So this kind of firm conviction that the words of the Upanishads, Shruti, scriptures means Upanishad, the words of the Upanishad and the words of the teacher, element teacher, they are true. If you follow them, I will also reach the goal of self-knowledge. That kind of conviction is called Shraddha, is very necessary for self-knowledge. The formal definition of Shraddha is given in Viveka Chudamani, verse number 25. Those of you who studied Viveka Chudamani, you may remember verse number 25, Viveka Chudamani. There, Shankara defines Shraddha in this way. Shastrasya Guruvakyasya Satyavidhavidharanam Srashraddha Kathita Sadbhihi Jaya Vastu Upalabhyate. Very nice definition of Shraddha. What is faith? Shastrasya Guruvakyasya. Shastra means scripture. Scripture here means Upanishad. Guruvakya means words of the teacher, element teacher. Shastrasya Guruvakyasya Satya Buddhihi Avadharanam. Understanding that what the Shastra says, what the teacher says, they are true. That kind of conviction. Sa Shraddha Kathita Sadbhihi. Element people say that kind of conviction is called Shraddha. Why is it necessary? Yaya, by which, if you have that kind of Shraddha, yaya, by which Vastu Upalabhyate. Vastu means Atma Jnana, self-knowledge. Upalabhyate will be gained. If you have that kind of Shraddha in the words of the scriptures and in the words of the teacher, element teacher, then with that conviction, we can gain self-knowledge. That's Shraddha, importance of Shraddha in spiritual life. So Sri Ramakrishna said in the Gospel several times, Somebody asked him, is it necessary to have a guru? Sri Ramakrishna said, yes, for most people guru is necessary, but more important than having a guru is to have a faith in the guru's words. Simply having a guru is only part of the situation. If I have a guru and if I don't have faith in his words, if I don't do anything, then what is the good of having a guru? So Sri Ramakrishna says in the Gospel, it is very necessary to have faith in the words of a guru. What a guru says is true, and we must put into practice the instructions of a guru. Then you will reach the goal. So Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. A person who has Shraddha, this kind of faith, that person achieves knowledge, self-knowledge. Jnanam is self-knowledge. Jnanam. Tatparaha. Tatpara means another requirement. In the commentary, Shankara says, Tatpara means Guru Upasadana, and staying in the teacher's house, if possible, and following the teacher's instructions, wherever one may happen to be. Tatpara means being absorbed in something. Matpara comes several times in the Gita. Matpara means, Bhagavan says, the Lord says, being absorbed in me. Some people are absorbed in something. For example, a scientist is absorbed in his own research. Total absorption, does not know it is day or night, does not go home for meals or sleeping. In the lab, he works day and night, forgetting everything else. So much totally scientist is absorbed in his scientific research that nothing else, doesn't remember anything. That is being tatparata, being absorbed in something. If a person is absorbed in God or Atman in the same way, excluding everything else, that person reaches the goal quickly. Tatpara means being absorbed in something totally. Tanmaya, like that. Samyate, one more requirement. Samyate indriyaha, first line. Indriya means sense organs. Samyata means controlled sense organs. Very important for spiritual seekers to control sense organs. Sense organs go in their own way, seeking sense objects. Eyes are always seeking something pleasant to see. Ears are always seeking something pleasant to hear. Tongue is always seeking something tasty to eat. This is the nature of sense organs. We know that one. Controlling that such tendency to go out, making them all focus on the self, samitendriya, and being totally absorbed in his seeking knowledge of the self, and with great faith, Shraddhavan, such a person, jnanam labhate, achieves self-knowledge. This in the shloka mentions requirements for achieving self-knowledge. Shraddha must be there, faith must be there, tatparata must be there, total absorption in the goal must be there, not being distracted by this and that. Indriya nigraha must be there, control of sense organs must be. If all these things are there, a person achieves self-knowledge. Jnanam labdhva, after achieving self-knowledge, then what happens? Achirena, very quickly, param shantim adhigacchati. Second line of 39. Param shanti means supreme peace. A person achieves supreme peace if a person achieves self-knowledge by three things. Shraddha, absolute faith in the words of the teacher, in the words of the scriptures, one requirement. Tatparata, absolute absorption in the goal without any distraction. Third thing is in control of sense organs, samyate indriya, controlling sense organs. If these three things are done, are required, if the person has, that person achieves self-knowledge, jnanam labdhva, achieving self-knowledge, what happens? Very quickly, achirena param shanti madhigacchati, achieve supreme peace. What is supreme peace? Not the ordinary peace we enjoy sometime. For a short time everything is okay, then something happens and the peace is gone. Not like that. Param Shanti means, in the commentary, Shankara says, Param Shanti means supreme peace, Param Mokshakhyam Shantim. It is moksha, liberation itself will come. When one achieves self-knowledge by these three things, Shraddha, Tatparata, Indriya Nigraha, faith, absolute absorption in this goal of self-knowledge, and control of sense organs. If you have these three things, then very quickly supreme peace will come. Knowledge, self-knowledge will come. When once self-knowledge comes, supreme peace will. Supreme peace means liberation will come. Mokshakyam param shantim. Moksha means liberation will come. That is the end of human goal. Once you achieve that goal, then you have reached the supreme goal, nothing else to be done, and you become one with the infinite self. River becomes one with the ocean, remains as the ocean. That is the glory of self-knowledge. So we'll stop here. We have how many? 3 more verses there in this chapter 4. Then we'll complete them next time, God willing. We'll go to chapter number 5. Let me say the closing prayer. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may all be happy, may all be free from afflictions, may all realize what is noble and auspicious, may no one be subject to misery. Om, peace, peace be within us all, peace and harmony be amongst all beings, peace be everywhere in nature. Hari Om Tat Sat, Sarvam Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Thank you all, stay well until next time, and let us see, God willing, next week. Thank you all very much.